Hi, I'm Stuart Ryan and welcome to this video. In this lesson, I'm going to show you 20 essential fingerpicking patterns. And whilst these certainly aren't the only fingerstyle exercises you should practice, each one is designed to work the picking hand in a very specific way. One of the greatest challenges with fingerstyle guitar can be the seemingly infinite combination of patterns that you can play. But hopefully, by the end of these exercises, you'll have a greater understanding of how the picking hand can work and how the individual fingers can work together. I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and if you have any questions, as always, just contact me on the email address on the screen now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Before we look at the exercises themselves, let's take a look at picking hand position and how to actually create the sound when fingerpicking. Posture is a subjective thing, but for me, I like to have the thumb facing forwards towards the headstock slightly, and then the remaining fingers pointing slightly back. If you look down on top of the hand, you should see the thumb pointing this way, and then just maybe a slight positioning backwards with the fingers. In very basic terms, the thumb is used to strike strings 6, 5 and 4, whilst the index, middle and ring fingers play strings 3, 2 and 1 respectively. But as we'll see in the following exercises, these patterns are not set in stone and do often change. One thing that's very important to look out for is where you place the picking hand when fingerpicking. If you strike the strings back by the bridge, you'll get quite a brittle sound, which is quite thin and metallic. If you go too far towards the neck, then you'll get more of a warm, sometimes muddy sound. So an ideal position is in between both of these areas, and for most fingerpickers, you're playing towards the back of the sound hole, which will give clarity but warmth as well. One thing to watch out for when fingerpicking is that the thumb is striking downwards, whilst the remaining fingers are striking upwards. For this reason, the thumb might always be heavier at first, so be very careful to control the thumb and not force down into the strings. There's obviously too much going on there. A lighter touch will give better results. And fundamentally, beyond good tone, we're trying to maintain a balance in volume between the bass strings and the treble strings. Without anything else overshadowing it. In this first series of exercises, we're going to think about basic technique and articulation with the picking hand. To start off with, we're going to use the thumb to play strings 6, 5 and 4, and the index, middle and ring fingers to play strings 3, 2 and 1 respectively. This will change as we move on, but it's a good starting point to get used to. On the tablature, you'll always see the thumb referred to with a P, the index finger referred to with an I, the middle finger with an M, and the ring finger or third finger with an A. This is also known as the annular finger. Let's take a look at the first exercise, where we're just going to play a simple E major chord using each finger in turn to sound the strings. We're looking for an even rhythm and dynamic on all the fingers there. I'll play that one a bit more quickly. It's very important when playing these sequences to not get an unwanted swing feel in there. Each finger has to be in control of the rhythm. If you hear this effect, then you'll know it's starting to slip. For the second exercise, we're just going to reverse that pattern, starting with string 1 and leading with the A finger. and then a little bit quicker. In the third exercise, we're going to take the middle finger out of the equation and just use the thumb, index and A finger to play strings 6, 3 and 1. That can feel a bit unusual at first if you're always used to using the middle finger in a sequence as well, so start it slowly to begin with. Exercise 4 is where we take away the ring finger, the A finger, so we're not playing anything on string 1 this time, just strings 6, 3 and 2 with the thumb, index and middle fingers. And then a bit more quickly. A couple of things to watch out for whilst you're playing all these exercises. Firstly is planting the fourth finger on the body of the guitar. Try and avoid doing that. You want to keep that finger off the soundboard. Secondly, we want to think about dynamics as well. Start thinking about how to make certain strings louder or quieter, or just how to maintain an even dynamic all the way through. Exercise 5, we're going to take string 3 out of the equation, but we'll look at 2 finger picking patterns here. The first one will use that traditional approach of using the thumb for strings 6, 5 and 4, the middle finger for string 2, and the A finger for string 1. But I'm also going to change that pattern to use the thumb on strings 6, 5 and 4, but the index finger on string 2 and the middle finger on string 1. Here's the first sequence with the ring finger. More quickly. And then using that second set of fingers, thumb, index and middle. And more quickly again. Either of those picking hand approaches is valid, but ultimately you might actually find the second approach to give you more speed and control. One of the main challenges you can face with fingerstyle guitar is sometimes trying to figure out which finger should be playing which string if a pattern doesn't seem to fall into that obvious PIMA approach. Thumb for strings 6, 5 and 4, index, middle and ring fingers for strings 3, 2 and 1 respectively. Exercise 6 is an example of this. We're going to be rolling across the strings in groups of 4, playing strings 6, 5, 4 and 3, 5, 4, 3 and 2, and then 4, 3, 2 and 1. Whilst the standard fingering approach may work here, you might find this pattern better. All we're going to do now is use the thumb, index, middle and ring fingers one after another. Here's how it looks slowly. You'll notice that one involves a little bit of hand movement as well. The hand moves down the strings and then back up again. If I play that a little bit more quickly. And then in number 7, we'll just reverse that pattern, leading with string 1 and the ring finger. slightly faster. That one can take a bit of getting used to if you're really locked into that thumb, index, middle and A finger approach that we've already seen. So start with it slowly and remember how the hand moves down the strings. For exercise 8, we're going to see how we play groups of string together now against a moving bass note. This is particularly common in music like Johnny Cash, and it's a great way of creating the illusion of a bassist performing with you. Here's how it looks. So we have the thumb moving down to play strings 6, 5 and 4, alternating with the chord that's played with the index, middle and ring fingers together. Here it is really slowly. And then more quickly. One of the main challenges there, of course, is sounding strings 3, 2 and 1 together. So perhaps just practice striking those 3 strings simultaneously. For the next exercise, we're just going to take the middle finger out of the equation. So we're not playing anything on string 2 this time. So we're just using the thumb and then the index and the A fingers together. And then for exercise 10, we'll try a similar approach, this time just getting rid of the first string, and so using the thumb, index and middle fingers. Exercise 11 is another example of how you sometimes have to choose the best fingers for a particular situation. In this exercise, we have a moving bass line on strings 6, 5 and 4, which we'll play with the thumb. But we're just going to be picking strings 1 and 2 together as well. So of course the choices here will be to either use the middle and the A fingers, or the I and M, index and middle fingers. Let's start off by looking at the traditional approach, which would see us using the middle and A finger. Now, whilst that approach works fine, you might find things feel a bit more relaxed using the I and M fingers for strings 2 and 1. And then a bit more quickly. Of course, there's also a tone change there as well. You'll hear a slightly different sound using the index and middle fingers than you will with the A and M fingers. Let's just hear again. Just a little bit thinner with the index and middle. So again, that could be something you think about. In exercise 12, we're going to again look at playing blocks of strings together, 4 strings at the same time. So now we're going to pluck strings 6, 5, 4 and 3, 5, 4, 3 and 2, and 4, 3, 2 and 1 simultaneously using all 4 fingers, P, I, M, A. That's quite a challenge because we're always trying to get the strings sounding even. i.e. we don't want the bass strings to overshadow the treble strings. Here it is again slowly. And then I'll dig in a bit more. Always trying to be careful that the bass notes aren't louder than the treble strings. We can try the same principle in exercise 13, just removing string 2 this time. And a bit more quickly. And in exercise 14, we'll use the same principle, except this time we're not going to play anything on string 1, so no A finger. And then a bit more quickly. And then exercise 15, we're not going to play the third string. However, this is another situation where we can choose what fingers to use when we play strings 2 and 1. We'll start off by using the thumb, middle and A finger, and then we'll switch to the thumb, index and middle. Here's the pattern slowly. And then the same approach, but using fingers thumb, index and middle this time. And then a bit more quickly. Remember, always watching that thumb. The thumb strikes the strings with a downstroke, which can be heavier than the fingers, so we need to make sure that thumb doesn't overshadow everything else. Sometimes when fingerpicking, one of the biggest challenges can just be to find a finger pattern that works. In exercise 16, we're going to be playing 2 non-adjacent strings, moving down from string 6 all the way to string 3. So we'll start off by playing strings 6 and 4, then strings 5 and 3, 4 and 2, and then 3 and 1. We could start off by using the thumb and the index finger all the way through. Or perhaps a better pattern for that is to use the thumb and index followed by the thumb and middle, and then alternating all the way through. We're also playing with a different feel here, a 6/8 feel, and it's very important that the fingers can adjust to any rhythm you need to play. In exercise 17, we'll apply a triplet feel across the strings, playing groups of 3 strings in each case, much like a banjo player would do. For this example, we're going to use the thumb, index and middle all the way through. And then in exercise 18, we'll simply reverse that sequence, starting on string 1, but using the same group of fingers, middle, index, and thumb in this case, not starting with the ring finger. Here's how it looks slowly. And then a bit more quickly. That's a great pattern which gives a really nice cascading feel across the strings. And in exercise 19, we'll just build upon it, except we're playing the same pattern twice in a row here. And a bit more quickly. And finally, for exercise 20, we'll reverse that sequence, starting on string 1 and using an M-I-P pattern all the way through.